Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it not when I pull up on your boulevard.
What up, IDS Mob? I'm your dating coach, HarryWilmington here, and we've got another jam-packed show for you today. Today, we are gonna be talking about ways that you can go about doing cold approaches when you're having trouble getting women in other various ways in your dating life. We're also gonna go into how to find out early on if the woman that you're dating is the kind that is willing to actually apologize when she's in the wrong versus blaming you for all the stuff. And then we're gonna talk about a Reddit post that I found of this dude who's 19, has never had anybody, is single as heck, but he's trying to get married by 25. We're gonna talk about his strategy for that and what he should actually be doing to get the results that he wants. We're gonna talk about all that and more on today's new episode of Harry Dating Conversations. Thanks for joining me on this wonderful episode. We got a lot of jam-packed stuff to talk about today, guys. I love being able to help you guys with your dating life, and to that end, if you guys ever have any questions or situations you're going through that you want my help on, you can write to me at harrywilmington@gmail.com or leave comments on any of my videos and I will answer them in one of these videos, all right? In addition to that, guys, you can always go to introvertdatingsuccess.com for eBooks, audiobooks, and programs, as well as some really awesome freebies, all designed to help you date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. In the meantime, if you like what you're seeing, all I ask for you to do is to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified of when these new videos pop up. And if you feel that the stuff I talk about in today's show is helpful to you, you can always leave a healthy donation courtesy of my Cash App, which is Harry Wilmington. So with all that said, let's get into today's show. So I got a question from a loyal viewer, and the question is about cold approaching. And this question goes, "Hey Harry, I've been having kind of bad luck lately, and I'm thinking about starting to practice cold approaches. Would love some tips. I'm really scared I'm just gonna get laughed away or be treated like a creep. I've been avoiding cold approaches for so long, but nothing else is working because when girls don't know you, they're not motivated to do anything with you, which is where I'm running into problems." So for starters, I'll be honest, in full transparency, in terms of my dating life, the majority of successes that I got was through online dating. Now, with that said, that does not mean at some point I didn't get good at being able to do stuff in person. Most of the time, though, even when doing that, it would be if I was at a party that either I was throwing or that people that I knew was throwing, then there would happen to be girls that were already there that knew my friend. So because of that, I could very easily just kind of go into being able to talk to them about stuff and move it that way, right? But that's not to say that cold approaching is not possible. It's definitely one of those things that you have to really be willing to face rejection, because you're gonna do a thing where you go out there and try to just talk to any woman. You don't know when you come up to these women if they are already in relationships, if you're their kind of guy, if they're having an off day and don't want to be bothered, or if they genuinely would like you to talk to them, but maybe they're not giving off the demeanor that indicates that they're open to conversation. So there's a lot of unknowns that go into cold approaching, and when you do it, you're gonna get rejected. It's bound to happen. A woman's not gonna want to talk to you, and you could get really butthurt by that, right? But here's a little strategy that I came up with early on that helped me immensely, because what happens is, as a guy, you're gonna go into these situations and you're gonna be putting all your eggs into this basket. This woman has to talk to me, and this one's gotta work out, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna be devastated. I believe in the technique instead of running into rejection, meaning that instead of going out there thinking, this woman has to work or it's not gonna whatever, I'm gonna feel some kind of way, I go into it thinking, this one's bound to fail. In fact, I'm gonna fail a lot of times. In fact, I need to have a goal of talking or trying to approach 50 women in the hopes that at least one, maybe two of them legitimately want to talk to me. And I found that by doing that, rejection now becomes part of the process. And I'm talking about this honestly because in terms of, I have a photo booth business, and so I'm starting to reach out to vendors in LA to talk about partnering with me in order to be a vendor, meaning that they can basically recommend me and my services to other people that are coming through them for weddings and parties and stuff like that, right? But I know that as a strange, unknown entity that I'm probably gonna get rejected. Now, if I were to just reach out to one entity and be like, hey, so you're a vendor and I wanna get with you and I hope we can work together, and it doesn't work out, oh my God, I'm devastated. But I know how the sales game works, which is that you need to get yourself in front of a lot of prospects in order to get some substantial, significant success, okay? And so this is the same as true when you're approaching women. You cannot assume that you're going to approach one woman and hope that one or two that you approach is going to work out. Chances are it's probably not. But you make the game whereby it's like, okay, if I approach 50 women, how many can I get of those 50 that are going to want to have a conversation back with me? We're not trying to talk about trying to push them into a relationship or not like that. We're talking about which ones will talk to me and then which ones will give me their number to hit them up later. And then the game is, okay, the goal this week might be I'm going to hit up 50 women and I hope to get like 2 or 3 hits. And the next week I'm going to try to get 3 or 4, and then 5 or 6, and get each and every time. But the point is that you make rejection part of the game. If you do that, then you're going to focus less on the rejection and more so on, I got to hit the number 50. The number 50 women is the number I have to approach in order to hopefully get some semblance of success. That is a realistic number. I can do that because within 50 people, 1 or 2 women will probably talk to you and give you the number. That's typically the math, how this works, right? And so even with that, beyond that, better ways to ensure success is to go in using what women do, which is passive language. Think about when women approach you, right? They don't usually just come up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Usually they'll try to like stand near you. They'll try to like make some kind of comment out into the world that they hope you grab onto. And so you can take some of those techniques in a different way and do that when you're approaching women at a mall or in public or whatever, right? So here's 3 things you can do. For starters, if you're really starting out on doing this, go to stores. Like go to stores where there are women sales people there that have to talk to you because they have to, you can ask them about getting something on the shelf or inquire about a certain product that's there, but they have to talk to you. But this is important because it starts to get you in the practice of being less afraid of approaching women and having a conversation with them. Now, again, in stores, you're not trying to get with these women. You're just going there to practice. If you've ever seen like the Karate Kid movies of the old, or even like the Karate Kid series that's on TV now, I forget the name of it at the moment. But the point is that, the whole wax on, wax off thing, that was designed so that way when they get in a fight, they have this motion down. And so a lot of approaching is just getting the motion down of approaching. So when you go to stores, you just go to female store clerks and start asking them questions and just do that repeatedly to where your brain will subconsciously use that training to make you less afraid of approaching women. Because women, in the grand scheme of things, they shouldn't be these big, scary things that freak us out when we try to approach them. Rejection hurts more than women actually hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Just because our egos can't take that. But if you get in the practice of just approaching women in stores, then you'll find that you get more at ease with that. So when you go to approach women that aren't in stores, that are out there in the general public, it's going to be less nerve-wracking, all right? Beyond that, 2 great things you can do. Number 1, ask women for directions. Like, be out and about, and if you're in a mall, for example, you're walking around, you can just stop a woman, hey, I don't mean to bug you, but I'm trying to find such and such store. I'm trying to find the food court. I'm trying to find the bathroom. And then from there, they'll answer, oh, it's this direction. You say, okay, that's great. Oh, by the way, what's your name? Oh, thank you so much for helping me out. I really appreciate it. Hey, you know what? And then just go into a conversation. Don't try to, if you're meeting people in public, they're probably going to do other things. So you don't purposely try to make the interaction last any longer than 2 to 3 minutes max. And then towards the end of it, you can start to get a feel for if she's wanting to continue that conversation or not. If not, just say, hey, well, thanks again. Appreciate you giving me the directions. By the way, this is going to be kind of weird, but hey, can I get your number? Or hey, let me get your number real quick. I'd love to talk to you outside of this or whatever, right? Now, again, you might get a high number of rejections off doing that, but it's more so at this point, getting into the practice of that because you want it to bug you less and less. When you first start practicing this, and you get those no's from women that don't want to give you the number, it's going to hurt. After the 20th of those, it becomes just part of the process, but it doesn't bug you as much because it goes to be less of an ego thing and more of just okay, well, maybe she just wasn't for me or she didn't feel me or whatever, or she's got a boyfriend or she's busy or I'm a strange guy that's trying to talk to her. I get it. But yeah, going up to women and asking for directions about things is a great way to disarm them and put down their shield because at that point, they're not thinking you're trying to hit on them. They're thinking that you're just trying to get directions from them. Now, in the process of them giving you directions, you can start saying some funny stuff or commenting about them of some kind, and then that can get them into letting them feel you and your energy, and then from there, you can decide if you want to go further with that, right? Which goes into the second thing, which is when you're approaching women, inquire about something that she has on her person or that she's carrying or wearing, all right? This is a very, very easy technique because women will be, again, disarmed when you're coming up to them and not trying to overtly compliment them on their bodies and stuff like that, right? So you're walking in the mall, You're walking in public, you see a girl that you think is very attractive, you kind of go up to her, hey, I don't mean to bug you, but just real quick, like, I need to know where you got that shirt. Like, that shirt looks amazing. Or, oh, I just wanted to comment you on, like, those earrings. Those earrings look amazing. Like, where'd you get those from? How'd you pick those out? Now, this is great because I did a previous episode where I talk about that women that are really attractive get complimented on their looks all the time, and you need to be the guy that is not complimenting women on their looks ever when you first meet them, all right? But complimenting them on something that they're carrying or that they're wearing on their person, that's a decision that they had to use their brain to make and decide on. And so you inquiring about that is basically saying, hey, you made a good choice. You were smart to pick that. I want to pick your brain because your brain seems like a smart brain to pick on about this thing that you got. And then from there, you're fine. Women are going to be much more open. I've literally just walked around and passed by women and said, hey, just want to know, that is a great perfume. Smile perks up. Oh my God, thanks so much. I got it from this place, blah, 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 blah. I'm really glad you like it. They don't know me, but they like that compliment. They picked it out. They recognize that I'm recognizing the effort they put in to find this thing. And so you get more women that are open to now talking to you when you go about that right. Just something as simple as like, hey, I don't mean to stop in your day, but those are some really, really nice shoes. I haven't seen those before. Like, I'd love to know, like, where'd you get those? Like, those are amazing. Oh, these things? Oh, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. Like, they get you in their graces. From there, you can go on, hey, okay, thanks for telling me that. I really appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. By the way, you seem like you have a really nice, aura about you. Like, what are you doing? Just walking around today? What'd you come to the mall for? Boom. Now you're asking her about herself. And here's the key, guy, because guys make this mistake, is they'll do the initial approach pretty good, and then they want to talk all about themselves. And a woman's like, I just met this guy 5 seconds ago, and now he's trying to give me his life story. I've seen so many guys do this where they meet a girl, it's like, oh, well, I'm a guy at this company, and I do blah, 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 blah. Just met her. And I can read people's faces. I'm looking at the woman the woman just has this face like, God, I don't want to be rude and interrupt this guy, but he's just so boring, and I don't know him, and he's talking about stuff I don't care about people I don't care about. So when you're making these approaches and you're inquiring about something she's wearing, keep the conversation on her. And then at the end, you can say, that's great, blah, blah, blah. Well, my name's so-and-so. It was really nice meeting you. Hey, I don't want to be too rude, but I would love to get your number and maybe connect sometime outside of this when you're not busy. Is that cool? Boom, on from there. Now again, your success rate with a cold approach, it's not going to be all that great at the beginning, but if you practice it and don't take it personally, you will get better over time, and you'll be surprised at the number of numbers that will be thrown your way because you are that guy that was able to develop this skill. So hopefully this helps you out. So hope you like that last statement, guys. And like I always say, if you need more help trying to figure out some of these strategies or things, you can do a few things. You can write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com, and I'll answer your questions on this show. Or if you really want to dive deep into what's going on with your dating life, then I recommend going to introvertdatingsuccess.com, clicking on the coaching tab, and signing up for one-on-one coaching. I would love to be able to help you figure out the ins and outs of what's going on so we can get you on the right track towards getting the women of your dreams. All right, guys, so now we're going to talk about something I think is very important, which is being able to pick out women that you're trying to date that are going to be ones that are willing to actually admit when they're wrong and apologize to you. And what sparked this was there was a video I saw on TikTok of a female counselor that was talking about how often women that come to her in terms of when they're in a relationship, they come to her to get counseling only to quit counseling when she starts pointing out things that they're doing wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this video.
So I was talking to a male friend of mine the other day, and he told me that women don't apologize and women can't be held accountable. And I began to really think deeply about this idea. And one of the things that came across my mind is, in the last 9 months or so of me being in my private practice, I have myself experienced many women, whether they came in as a couple or they came by themselves, they very abruptly discontinued their therapy. And I started to reflect and really think, what was going on here? And I noticed that after I had to confront them about something, I had to bring to their attention something they were doing that wasn't contributing to the health of the relationship, they became very defensive and very, just very harsh, and they stopped coming. And even though the husband would continue to come, he made it very clear that, yeah, she won't apologize. She thinks you're wrong. She thinks you're taking my side. And I began to really reflect, oh my gosh, is it true that women don't apologize? Is it that women struggle with being held accountable? I'd love your thoughts on this. Me personally, I think it has to do with a person's level of emotional maturity.
So yeah, she said in that video, there are women out there that when you're in a relationship with them and you come to them and try to point out something that they did wrong, that they want to say, that's not a thing, or you're overreacting, or well, I meant it this way when you took it this way, or whatever. And for those of you that were fans of Kevin Samuels, you know this to be true because you probably watched the show, and time after time, women would come in there and say, hey, so I am a single mom with 5 kids, and I'm overweight, and I don't have a job, and I want a high-value guy. And the guy that I was with before, he was an okay guy. We were married for a while, but I dumped him because I thought I could do better. And Kevin would be like, you should go back to him. Like, you messed up. Oh my God, Kevin, how could you say that? So obviously on this show, I don't like to speak in absolutes, so I don't believe in the mention that like no women can apologize ever. But what I do believe, and this is where your responsibility comes in, guys, I do believe that men do not do a good enough job in the dating phase sussing out women that will not be able to apologize should they actually be doing something wrong. So the question then becomes, okay, fine, as a guy, how can you suss these kind of women out? Because it's going to be very important later down the line. You want to be able to express when the woman you're with is doing things or saying things that maybe unbeknownst to them are hurting your feelings or are affecting the dynamic of your relationship. And this is where it becomes very important as a guy early on, A, to know what your boundaries are, but more importantly, to be willing to call women out when they are doing stuff to you that is not good. Now, I'm going to preface it by saying, I already hear some of you guys saying, but Harry, in the past you said that you shouldn't call women out if you're dating them and blah, blah, blah. And what I'm expressing is this, is that it's for one, I believe men in general should be less bothered by a lot of things. And I think sometimes guys bring up things that aren't actually issues or are based on ways that they're thinking about things that they shouldn't be thinking about them in that light, all right? But so the point is this, is that it's not that you can't ever call a woman out. I typically say if a woman's flaking on you or showing that kind of behavior where she's trying to ghost you or whatnot, that's not a woman that's interested, and therefore there's no point in calling her out because she doesn't care, because she's trying to get away from you in the first place, right? But a woman that you've actually been dating for like 2 or 3 months and you're that on the precipice of getting into an actual relationship with, there may be a time where like she says something that unbeknownst to her is like poking at you the wrong way, or she might do something in your house, or like say she might knock something over by accident and break it, and something that was very precious to you, right? These are moments when as a guy, you can practice going to her and saying, hey, so just want you to know that like, I don't make a big deal out of it or anything, but like when you said this thing, this is how I took it, and it kind of made me feel a certain way. Or hey, you did this thing the other day and you like knocked over this thing that I was really precious to me, and you didn't say I'm sorry for it, or you didn't like try to replace it, and I feel some kind of way about that, right? And so, but you do that because these are the moments when you're going to be able to see how she reacts to it, and that's going to determine how she's probably going to respond to stuff later. I'll give you a really brief story. There's a woman that I dated a while back whereby we had the conversation about how I felt as though I couldn't always be very open in relationships with women, because if I had an honest thought about something or an opinion on something that they were doing and they asked me and I told them the truth, then they'd be all butthurt about it. And she assured me that she was not that way, and that I could, at any time, if something was bugging me about her, or she was doing something that I didn't like, I could express it. And then there was a day that came where she did an action that was meant to be kind, mind you, but to me it felt a bit overwhelming for where we were at in our relationship, and it felt like a bit too much. And she said to me, hey, if this is a bit too much right now, you can just tell me. And so I said, okay, well, to be 100% honest, yeah, this action right here is a little bit too much. And she sat there for about 5 seconds, and then I could see the tears starting to well up in her face, and she started boohoo crying. And I was like, but I was supposed to be able to be honest and tell her up front, like, what's going on, and express to her that this was not an action I needed her to do. But from that point on, there would be other incidents that would come up whereby I would try to give my honest assessment, or I'd say, hey, this thing happened and I didn't appreciate it. And the response would be, well, I didn't mean it like that. And well, you're just taking it the wrong way. And you did this thing, and so blah, 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 blah. But I made the mistake of trying to test that like 5 months out versus like 2 months in. And so because of that, I wasn't able to read that early on. And so for some of you guys, you get into these relationships where like, this woman never apologizes, she always blames everything on me. But if you're honest with yourself, you didn't try to figure that out early on. You were trying to keep everything all hunky-dory and peachy keen and didn't want to rock the boat and wanted to keep things peaceful. And so she did a thing and you're like, well, I'm not going to say it's a big deal because I don't want to rock the boat and she probably didn't mean to do it, so I'm going to give her the good grace and not bring it up. But that was the moment where you needed to bring it up, because if you had done it then, you could have tested out your ability to be able to, because I don't want you guys to go to women and say, hey, you did this thing, blah, blah, blah. You actually need to get into the practice of being able to address things with women in a calm, even toned manner, so that way she gets the idea that she can in fact come to you, and that more importantly, if she does apologize, you're not gonna berate her later or make her feel bad about it, right? But you gotta do this by practicing it early on, because when you don't, you're gonna miss out on how she would actually react to things when things actually are her fault, when she actually does say something out of pocket. To this woman's point, like, yeah, she discovered that, yeah, the husbands, keep in mind, she said the husbands will still come to therapy because they recognize, hey, you know what, as a guy, I gotta get it. I gotta take my part in this thing. I gotta suck it up. I wasn't showing up the way I need to all the time, so I'm gonna be willing to take part of the blame. But the wife doesn't want to, because she feels like we're now ganging up on her. And this is where it goes back to what I talked about with Kevin's stuff, where it's like women get all in their feels about he's attacking women because he's telling them that they're acting like in a rude way and they need to stop it. Like, but as a guy, you wanna know those women. You wanna know if the woman that you're with right now in the early dating phases is gonna be that woman. So if she says something or does something, and this is a woman that is not ghosting, that is not trying to leave you in the dust. This is a woman that is like, seems legitimately happy to see you, is constantly trying to be around you, but just there's a point where she says or does something. It's in the scope of building a relationship that is bound to happen. You both are gonna do or say things that you are unintentionally making the other person feel a certain way. And so she's gonna come to you and say, hey, so-and-so, when you did this thing, this is why I reacted this way, this is how I felt about it. And you need to be able to say, hey, you know what? I didn't know that before. I know that now. I'm sorry for doing that, and I'll be sure to be better in the future. And as most time as guys, we're willing to do that. So if you're with a woman and you're like, hey, I'm coming to you nicely, nice tone, this thing happened, you said this thing, you did this thing, and this is how I took it. And her response is, oh, how could that be a thing? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you found out early, get out now, because I'm telling you guys, it does not get better. If she's already reacting like that to you by you coming to her in an even tone, it's not gonna get better than that, you know? But there are women, I can assure you guys, I've been able to date women that also are willing to take responsibility for when they're messing up, for when they unintentionally do a wrong action towards me. And those women are easier to deal with because they're also the women that are able to sit down and have a conversation with you that's not yelling and screaming, and being able to come to an understanding that, hey, even though you know that she didn't mean to do a thing, she now knows how you took it and is willing to not do that thing in the future. And that's stuff you find out early on versus later. So hopefully, guys, this helps you out. I wanna remind you guys once again to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, because all that stuff helps with the algorithm. Also be sure to click the notification bell, because that's the only way you'll get notified of when I put up new videos. I typically put up videos quite often throughout the week, so you definitely want to know when I'm putting those up, all right? But more importantly, you can go to the website if you want some more help. Check out some of my great eBooks. I got one out now called Stop Losing Women, The Ultimate Guide to Winning the Woman of Your Dreams. And that is a book that is designed to help you figure out what not to do, figure out what things to do, and figure out if you're on a cycle of constantly losing women, how to get to do things that are going to allow you to actually keep them around for the long term. We also got books like How to Get Your Ex Back, regardless of who did the breaking up. We have programs such as the Introvert Dating Success Academy, which, by the way, you don't have to be an introvert to get what you need to get out of that academy, but it is a great, great program. 12 videos plus some bonuses that'll show you how to go from meeting a woman all the way to getting her on a date, all the way to getting that first hookup, all the way to getting her into a relationship. If you need help with that stuff, all that stuff is available at introvertdatingsuccess.com under the products tab. So now we're gonna answer a question from a guy on Reddit. And this guy is 19 years old, hasn't had a girlfriend, is down on his luck, but he's hoping that he's getting married between the ages of 21 and 25. Yes, he's already mapped out that he wants to get married by that time. Is it possible? It is. Should he be trying to like reach for that? Well, we'll see. So it goes, I think I've got a serious problem, but I don't know why. Basically, every time I approach girls, it's either I'm seen as the friend or they entertain me. I enter a talking stage sometimes with flirting involved, but I always end up either in the friend zone or I find out that the girl has a boyfriend and is just being nice and replying to my messages. I've never had a girlfriend before and it's starting to tick me off. Hey, preaching to the choir, guy. I didn't have a girlfriend. I had my first girlfriend at 15 for like 2 weeks, and I didn't have a girlfriend that I called my girlfriend again until like 29. So anyway, he says, it's starting to take me off. It's either I'm the friend zone type guy, give off friend vibes, not interested, or the girl has a boyfriend and sometimes still wants to be friends with me. This year alone, it's happened at least 5 times to me. I hope to get married between 21 and 25, but so far, it's not looking good at all. Can I get some help? Can I get someone to help me out and tell me what's wrong or what I'm doing wrong? Well, let's start off with the marriage thing, right? Here's the reality. As a guy right now, you're thinking, between 21 and 25, I want to get married. And here's the reality. When you graduate college, you'll be 22, 23. You will not be ready enough to actually take on what you need to take on in a marriage. Because if you don't have a well-paying job, you don't have an apartment, you don't have a car, you're not yet set up to take care of yourself, then you definitely cannot take care of you and another person. And it is irresponsible to do so. Most men don't really hit their peak in terms of like them being able to actually get all that stuff situated until their early 30s, all right? Now that's not to say there aren't some outliers because, hey, I had a brother that got married at 25, 26, but he would tell you too that his first couple years of marriage, he and his wife were roommating with another couple friends they had, and they had a house they collectively had together where rent was very, very low because it was 4 people in the house. So don't think that you're gonna have everything together, ready to go, and that you're gonna be actually equipped for marriage. But more to the point is that at the point that you reach your 30s, that's when the world becomes your oyster. You have enough to where you've had a few years in the job market, you're relatively stable, but more importantly, you now have a wide variety of women you can date. Like at 19 to 25, realistically, you're probably looking at dating girls that are maybe close to your age, but the majority of women that are in their early 20s are trying to date guys that are in their late 20s, early 30s, sometimes 40s. So you're still gonna miss out and the selection of women you're gonna have is very low. Doesn't mean it can't happen, not at all. But I'm saying the probability is very low. Once you get into your 30s, you're 35, you're 40, now you can go for women, especially like I'm 41. At my age, I can reach all the way back down to 21 and go as high as like 45, 46 if pressed, I have a friend of mine from college that is married, married a woman that was 10 years older than him. So all I was say is that your options actually get bigger as you get more established, as you have more stuff stabilized, and as you get older and look more mature by default. Because women typically want men that are more mature. Women on average are trying to date guys that they feel are better than them. And so if you're more stable and you're older, it makes you look more mature, which for a woman that is younger is gonna actually look a lot more attractive than at 25 when you don't have that stuff figured out. And women are gonna date based on like, if they can date a guy that's gonna make them feel safe and they can be protected and taken care of. You at 25, it's not that you can't do that, but you're definitely not gonna be beating a 40-year-old or a 30-year-old with that, you know what I'm saying? But back to some of the other stuff here. So he says that when he approaches girls, he's seen as the friend guy or the entertainer. So here's the reality, guy, because I was a virgin until I was 23. If you have not hooked up with the girl yet, then you probably do not have any kind of sexuality that is oozing from you that would let women know that you're a guy that's open for hooking up. And as much as we think that, women want to, they don't like guys that are all about sex and they want guys that are virgins, the reality is most women have started hooking up as early as like 13, 14, or 15. And so what that means is that you're coming to the game already at a disadvantage because you're giving off a vibe that indicates that you're not even trying to go that route. And that's partially because you don't know how to tap into that as a guy that hasn't had any yet. Now, you don't have to lose your virginity in order to tap into that essence, but a lot of guys, unbeknownst to them, feel threatened by the idea that they could be trying to present a sexual version of themselves to women because they're thinking, again, women don't want guys that are all about that, so they end up doing the complete opposite, which is hiding that or not displaying that kind of interest at all, and that leads you to having women out there that are like, oh, he doesn't give off that vibe, he doesn't know what he's doing with women, I don't want to date him. And that's the zone you land in. So the first thing is to try to really tap into the things about you that are flirty, that are playful, that women can see, oh, this could possibly lead down a path towards whatever, all right? The second thing is this, is that you are seemingly going into the friend zone because you're putting your own self there, and then you're trying to back out and make it into a relationship. And I used to be the same exact way. I would think, okay, I'll be friends with them first. They'll be able to see that we gel on a friendship level, and that's gonna make them wanna get with me because they'll realize that we have so much in common that they can't help themselves. That's not how this works. How this works is that when you first meet a woman, if you have any idea at all that you might be attracted to her and that you might wanna date her, you start doing the moves then that are gonna lead it towards that, which is like being playful, being flirty, asking for the number, and then not wasting your time just trying to text a girl, but actually using the phone to ask her out. Where a lot of guys get stuck is they get themselves in friend zone by getting her information and then just texting her a bunch of nonsense, sending her a bunch of memes, sending her a bunch of, hey, how you doing? How are you? Nice to see you. Oh my God. And they're not just, putting their pedal to the metal and asking for the date. Women want you to ask them out on dates. If you're a guy that's in college like this guy is 19, then fine. Ask to meet up at the cafeteria for a meetup. Ask to walk off campus to a nearby coffee shop or whatever. But the point is that you are not doing the moves that are letting women, that you're not signaling to women by way of your moves that you're trying to move this in a direction early on that could potentially lead to you being in a relationship. You're meeting women, trying to be their friend first, then trying to get out of it. But by that point, women have you in their mind as you're the friend guy. So even if they're flirting with you, it's like, but at the end of the day, he's the friend guy. I can flirt with my friend guy because he knows it's not gonna be anything serious. And how women see it is this, once they put you in the friend zone, they assume that because they put you in the friend zone, you've also put them in the friend zone and don't want to actually do anything. So when they're being flirty with you, they're thinking, I can be flirty with this guy because it's good for the attention, but I know that he knows it's just being playful and that we're not actually serious. And you're like, but I'm super serious and I'm trying to flirt. But you let it in the direction of being a friendship so she doesn't think it in that realm, So you got to do better with your front game, which you're meeting women off jump, you start flirting, you start making them laugh, being vibrant, you say, hey, let me get your number, and then you ask them out on a date. I have a whole program called Introvert Dating Success Academy that walks you through the ins and outs of how this is supposed to work, from when you meet them, all the way to when you actually get them on a date, to when the hookups happen, to when you get into a relationship, all right? It's a very easy process to follow, and it works for like every woman. Like all the women that I've done this process on, it's front to back, works and gets me into a relationship. But again, this was a result of me having years of a lack of success and not knowing where I was going wrong. And it started with, when I met them, I was giving off friend vibes. You're giving off friend vibes, you're gonna get friend zoned each and every time. That's just kind of how it works. Lastly, guy, like I said, don't be so much in a rush to get married. Like I've had friends of mine that got married at 25 and it worked out, and I've had a lot more that I've seen get married that early and it doesn't work out. But more importantly, you as the guy should never be chasing relationships. What you're chasing is women that are gonna be fun to have a good time with, whether it's you guys are going out on dates, you guys are hooking up, you guys are having deep conversations. All your job is to find a woman that you can have a great time with in whatever capacity that means. It is the woman's job to come to you and say, hey, based on the good time we're having, I wanna have a relationship. So you shouldn't even be thinking about, I gotta focus on women I'm gonna marry. You can focus on putting yourself out there. You can focus on making women feel the best that they possibly can feel when they're around you. Those are the things that you can control. But she's gonna control her coming to you to wanna get into a relationship. At that point, you're now in control of if you want that to happen, but you trying to put the cart before the horse and saying, I'm gonna go out there and seek a relationship. Now, all your energy is gonna be on, I gotta get a girl into a relationship instead of just having a good time. If you just focus on having a good time with the women that you're dating, they'll be the ones to bring up to you when they're ready for a relationship. I'm saying this as a person that has done this. It has worked time and time again for me to get into relationships by just showing up, showing them a great time, having some good hookups, having some fun dates. And if I do that consistently enough for 2 to 3 months, they come to me, hey, so are you seeing anybody else? So what are we? It really can be that simple. So don't do too much. I think guys are in the habit of trying to overdo because we're doers. We think we gotta do so much in order to get the results that we want. And I'm telling you, guy, if you're a bit more patient and more specific in the moves that you're making in the dating game, then you're gonna come out on top a lot easier. And I would love to help you with that. Go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, sign up for coaching, sign up for a program, but I got things there that'll start getting your mind to modify itself to understand better how this whole thing is supposed to work in the first place. So hopefully, guy, that helps you out. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Harry Dating Conversations. If you would like me to answer one of your questions on this show, write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com or leave a comment on any one of my videos. Also, be sure to go to the website to check out my eBooks, audiobooks, programs, and freebies there, such as my webinar on how to attract quality women. All these things are designed to help you date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, click the notification bell, and I will see you guys on the next episode. I'm out. Peace.